This is a quick video just to demonstrate how to use your mechanical ventilation system. So the mechanical ventilation system, the purpose of this is to replace the need to open windows to ventilate your home. So the fresh air within your home is brought in from outside, it passes through this exchanger here and is redistributed around your home and also retains the heat from inside as it does so. The purpose of this is to reduce the energy bills that you have, reduce the energy demand of the building, and also bring you much cleaner, fresher air than you would have if you just open the windows. So within your MVHR cupboard, you have a digital controller just here. I'm just going to show you how you can change the different ventilation profiles to suit the conditions that you want in your home. So the same way as you would do in a traditionally ventilated home, i.e. with windows and kitchen extractor fans and bathroom extractor fans, there are different times throughout the day where the amount of ventilation in your home needs to increase or when it can just be at a standard rate. So that standard rate with an MVHR system will run continuously, and it's when we're at this at-home profile. So that's when you're just sat at home comfortably, there's no need to increase the ventilation. There are different profiles where we can change the amount of ventilation being provided to the home to suit what activities are happening inside. For example, if you are cooking, if you're bathing, if you have extra guests around and so on, you could increase the ventilation the same way that you would do if you were to open a window in a traditionally ventilated property. So at home is the default profile that you should set it on a generic day. Just on the home screen here, we can see that outdoor, the incoming air is 10 degrees. And as it passes through the mechanical ventilation system, it's recovering a lot of the heat to make sure that the temperature is much higher. So in winter, this is going to save you a lot of money on energy bills. In summer, there is a summer bypass that will stop recovering the heat so that it actually increases the airflow and it should make it more cool inside. So it will automatically detect that and change it to suit. So at home is the default setting that you should look to have on at all times until you need to increase the ventilation on a temporary basis. To change this, the button on the left, you see we have an away setting. Away is where there will be nobody in the property for an extended period of time. For example, if you were taking a trip or a holiday, you would change it to away. It will reduce the amount of ventilation. It won't stop the amount of ventilation. It's very important that the ventilation system is still running while you are away, but it will reduce it because there's nobody inside, and it will reduce the amount of energy that the system is using. But very important to remember, you should not turn off the system while you are away. Just change the setting to away as we have done here. Another setting is boost. So the same way you would do if you were to open a window in your house when you were cooking or bathing, or if you had guests around, sometimes it gets a bit stuffy and you want to use a boost function to increase the amount of ventilation coming through your property. We can do so either by using the digital controller here as we have done, which will just basically increase the fan speed within the mechanical ventilation system to increase the ventilation around your home. So not only can we do it on the controller, we also have, outside of the MVHR cupboard, switches such as this, where you can see it says boost. If we are to press this switch, it will temporarily increase the amount of ventilation around the property for around 15 minutes or so. So you'll notice that it's a temporary switch. It doesn't stay on. You press that once, and that will kick in with additional ventilation for a period of around 15 minutes. So another profile that you have is custom. So as I've said, this system is set up tailored to your property. Changing any of these settings in custom will actually be less efficient than it already is. So we highly recommend that you don't change any settings or use the custom function. If you were to use the custom function and change any settings, you can change on this here. You can see the different data. This pencil button can change the different settings. However, like I say, we strongly recommend that you don't adjust any of these because it will make the system less efficient. It will cost more money to run, and it's already set up so that it uses the least amount of energy as possible. So to return out of here, we can just press the return button there. Another setting that you can use is the purge function. And what this would be used for is when, during the summer months, if your property is feeling too warm and you want to provide a bit more airflow to cool you down, this setting basically will increase the amount of airflow on a permanent basis until you turn it back on. So for example, on a summer's evening and you're in bed and it's too warm, just outside the MVHR cupboard and elsewhere on your property, we have this button here. You'll notice it has the green colour. This is a purge switch. So at which point you decide it's too warm and you want to increase the airflow, turn this on, and until you turn that off, there will be increased airflow similar to the boost function. And the purpose of that is to move the air around the building and cool you down. So very useful in summer months. It's important to remember that as you wake up and as you get ready and leave the property, just turn that off so that the profile will return back to the home default. So as this system brings in air from outside and stale air from your bathroom and kitchen, it will go through a filter system to make sure that there is no debris or pollutants moving around your home. And it stops this by using a series of filters. So MSV housing should help you with the maintenance requirements for the filters. However, I'm just going to demonstrate in case you ever need to update the filters yourself. So this is the MVHR system that opens like so. You can just push it forward as it's on a bit of a latch and lever that back. It's on a kill switch, which means it turns off every time this is open. It will not work while this is open. And the different filters we have are here, which is just on a bit of a cardboard box with the filter on top. Needs to be replaced, needs to be hoovered every 6 months and replaced every year. And likewise here, we have another one that just needs to be pulled off and replaced. If you scan this QR code, it takes you to a link where you can purchase new filters. To put this back, just lever it back up. Put that back on there. Your kitchen extractor valve here also has a filter that should be hoovered every 6 months and replaced every 12 months. So finally, we just have the last couple of settings. So here, again, just gives you a bit more data. It's not strictly anything that you need to change. It's just to monitor where you're at, humidity, carbon dioxide, and so on. To return out of this, just press the back button. And finally, the different extra buttons we can press here. We have filters. So as discussed, we do need to change the filters. It will basically give you a reminder of when these were changed, and you can change the intervals and so on. You don't need to change any of those settings, but when your maintenance team come in to change those filters, they can update that for you. Temperatures and sensors, again, just more data. You don't really need to change any of that. Time and date is already set up correctly, but obviously you can change this to suit. Display settings, this just turns off when it goes back to sleep, but again, nothing too significant to change. Expert settings, again, I really do have to reiterate that you should not try changing any of the expert settings on this, because you will make your machine less efficient. If you were to accidentally click in this, it's just a different kind of more in-depth settings that we strongly recommend you don't change any of them. If you do end up in any of these, just press the back button to exit. We have turn unit off. Now, the MVHR system, it needs to be running at all times or your property will end up damp and it will lead to mold. So we never turn this unit off. If you need to turn it off for any reason, we recommend you speak to MSV. But if there's no emergency, just leave the unit running at all times. Service menu and language are self-explanatory, and that's pretty much it. So to exit this again, just press back, and that is how to use your MVHR controller. We recommend as well, as well as this video, just having a good look through the manuals provided, look at the manufacturer's guidance, and as always, just speak to MSV if you need any help. Thank you.